Riding on the waves of a full blue moon, this is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to the September 1st episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, the new interactive show to assist in the evolution of consciousness. On this episode, I was flying solo as our other regular co-host, Michael Brazel, was away for the evening. We started off with some regular Paradigm Shift community news, specifically the Once in a Full Blue Moon video and picture project. Our first caller was one of the facilitators for Paradigm Shift Netherlands. She shared some of her thoughts on the values of Paradigm Shift communities and how things have been unfolding on her end. Our second caller was Casper Morgan. We discussed a bit about the theme of meeting resistance when trying to express alternative ideas to people and different methods to deal with these types of situations. We talked about a few more things which segued us into our regular group meditation. Following that, we had Taylor, aka Starseed Space Friend, on air to talk about her experience with ayahuasca, as well as her new ayahuasca awakening retreats in Peru that she begins in October. As always, show your support by liking the Facebook page and help raise awareness of Paradigm Shift Radio further by sharing this YouTube video with your friends. The more people involved, the more we all learn. Tune in again next Saturday and enjoy the show.
Alright, if you're listening to this, you are a part of the revolution, and you can't spell revolution without evolution, and evolution of consciousness is exactly what we are talking about here tonight. You are listening to Paradigm Shift Radio. I'm one of your co-hosts here tonight, Skull Babylon, and hold on guys, because I am flying solo tonight, so I just need to double check my own technical stuff. Michael is actually taking some business, so I'm going to be running things on my end, kind of last minute notice, but sounds like we got everything up and running so far, so we are good to go. This is awesome, guys. Big shout out to everyone who's in the chat right now. Again, guys, within the first few minutes, let's just sort of do our regular routine here. Let's try and get the word out. I've been posting it on the Paradigm Shift Central, Paradigm Shift London, Toronto pages. Post it on your pages as well. Get it out there. Get more people involved. The more people involved in listening to the show, the more we effectively benefit from it, because it's this whole collective critical mass type idea that really, the more people listening, the more people who are going to start taking some of the ideas that they hear on the show and formulating them into their everyday life and start moving things progressively forward, so that the people who are, the people who are new to some of the stuff are going to be able to catch on in a more accelerated manner. So that said, guys, happy full blue moon. If technically we're in the waning stage of it right now, it's at about 98%, but yesterday was the official, August 31st, the official 100% full blue moon meaning it is the second full moon in 1 month, that being the month of August. So I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'd just like to say that for this episode, I'm totally looking for people to call in. So if there's somebody who wants to call in within the next 5 minutes, by all means do it. I know there's people in the chat who are more than willing to call in, so possibly someone like Casper Morgan might be a good person to call in. Let us know how things are going on his end. But within the meantime, let me just give you a quick run-through on some news and updates on what's been happening within the Paradigm Shift community. So for those who are unfamiliar and maybe new to this, because I guarantee you there's a lot of people who are going to be new to this radio show, because our numbers have been going up quite rapidly within the last week. One of the big benchmarks that we hit was the 1,111th like on the Facebook page, so 1111. That was a pretty cool benchmark and milestone to celebrate, just in terms of, spiritual numbers and what 1111 sort of recognizes and represents, and, it's sort of like that gateway to something more, so to speak. But that was cool, and we got Image sort of promoting that out there, and a whole bunch of people found out about that. So now we're almost up to 1,300, which is awesome, guys. Let's keep those numbers climbing. Like I said, we're still kind of in beta phase right now. This is the 11th episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, but every time we do this, we want to be able to learn. We want to be able to hear back from what you guys thought of the show and help us make it better, help us make it into something that's not just myself and Michael sitting here talking, but something where you, the community, are getting involved and helping tweak it and refine it so that it's going to be more efficient and more effective at communicating and working as a platform in the future when we really sort of need something like this. This is cool that we got this now, but I guarantee you something like Paradigm Shift Radio, the real value for it is going to stand out within the future. Is just basically what I'm saying. So, for when for when Skynet takes over and we need some sort of underground radio in order to keep the word sort of on the DL between us humans, and we don't want the machines finding out about what we're up to and everything. But that's another story for another day. But like I said, guys, paradigm shift. Paradigm shift. What is paradigm shift? Paradigm shift, in addition to being a term, it's this whole idea of changing the way you think of things, changing the way on how you perceive things. So paradigm shift communities are something that are being encouraged all over the world right now. There's more and more popping up each and every week. Paradigm Shift London, Ontario, Canada is the one that I'm affiliated with. We started out as a group within the college that I was at, which was Fanshawe College, and it's going to be starting up there again within September. And basically, the Paradigm Shift communities, for those who are totally unfamiliar to this, Paradigm Shift communities are not only a Facebook page, but are also a physical community where it's open discussion and people are encouraged to talk and communicate their ideas that may not usually get encouraged within regular public spheres. So we do talk a lot about things like lucid dreaming and astral projections is a very popular topic. We talk about things like conspiracy theories, aliens, UFOs, hypnosis. We talk about Sasquatch. We talk about Men in Black. We can really talk about anything, including a lot of spiritual topics and just sort of like practical things that will help you get more out of this path in life that we are all collectively walking upon right now. So if you're interested in finding out more about Paradigm Shift communities, go to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftCentral. That's the main hub where you can find, underneath the like section of that page, you'll find all of the other Paradigm Shift communities currently that we are aware of listed there. And just in that news, because there are people who are keeping me up to date on this, one of the most recent developments is out of the Netherlands. I know there's a Paradigm Shift community that launched there, and I think they're actually going to be starting their own Paradigm Shift radio, which is awesome because obviously they have their own language, so they sort of want to keep things within their community, which is totally cool and totally encouraged. And I know that there's like other Paradigm Shift communities that are sort of branching off of that Netherlands one. So awesome. That's so awesome, guys. Good job with that. And news in terms while I'm just sort of like waiting for people to I do have one caller on the line, so I'm going to bring him on in a minute, but I just wanted to mention to you guys this just as we're going through the news thing, the latest thing that happened within the Paradigm Shift community, going back to the full blue moon, was this whole once in a full blue moon video and picture project that was launched at the beginning in the AM of August 31st, and there was something that sort of came to me, and I was like, oh, this is a cool idea, because it came off the tail end idea of something that I started in the beginning of August, where I took a picture of myself interacting with the full moon, and I encouraged people to say, like, hey, let's collectively do this. Let's share images of ourselves interacting with the full moon, and then share them with our friends and share them with each other, and in addition to that, make videos. So the Once in a Full Blue Moon video and picture project was something that is technically still going, and if you want to check out the information on that, go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com/full-moon. So ParadigmShiftCentral.com is sort of the main website /full-moon, and you'll find the event page there, and there's still hundreds and hundreds of images that are still going up, and that's incredible how that went viral, and that's a big thanks to you guys. Like, that's exactly what we need. We need people to see that unifying, collective, inspirational, higher vibrational love type energy that is definitely within each and every one of us, and it's when we express it and when we share it with other people that it really helps collectively inspire people to sort of be more of who they are and embrace like those sort of moments in life where they can just be like happy to be a part of this experience. So that was a very cool event, and there will be more videos of those going up on the on that Paradigm Shift Central /full moon on that part of the website. And in addition to that, I'll be posting a video that I did. And another cool thing is that I'm going to be actually putting together like a montage video of the images and videos that have been submitted by you guys in order to share with more people throughout the internet, and potentially something that we can also get viral. And then the kicker is that since this was such a success, there's no reason that we can't sort of simulate and do this again next full moon, which is September 29th. So just because it was a full blue moon, I mean, that was a good initiative to get this whole thing rolling. But let's just keep doing this. Let's just keep riding this wave and keep expressing the sort of energies that we resonated with on that full moon, and bring it into each and every full moon, and make sure that we and not even to say that like the days between the full moon aren't important, but let's just keep doing that. Let's just keep riding those waves, riding those moon waves, so to speak. So again, good job guys on the once in a full blue moon video and picture project. project, huge success, mission accomplished on that. Congratulations. So again, check that out if you haven't yet. Join the event page. There's still time to submit your photos. There's no rules against this, so feel free to do that. Awesome job, and congratulations, team. So that said, I think I'm going to bring on Live for Bliss, who is a person who's in the queue right now. So I'm going to bring them on right now. And again, for those of you who may be new to the show, this is a totally interactive show. So in addition to interacting on the live chat and blog talk, register for that or communicate or set up as a guest account. Talk in the chat, talk to each other, get in a conversation, meet some new friends there. Keep doing what you're doing. That's an awesome part. And then if you'd like to call into the show, feel free to do that using Skype or a regular phone call or a regular phone line. And the number for it this time, which is different from last week since I had to create a new profile on Blog Talk, if you're looking to call in with a regular phone, do so on 347-539-5493. So 347-539-5493. But again, feel free to call in using Skype because it's free to do so, and that's the easiest way I would recommend. So, all right, we're going to bring on Live for Bliss. Hello, call. Can you hear me?
Oh, shit. Huh? Do you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Oh, you can. Okay, I was like, shit, because I still need to put it in my headphones so it doesn't echo. Does it echo right now?
It sounds okay, but yes, that is for anybody else calling in. Yeah, headphones are something that I appreciate, so we don't get the echo and the feedback and stuff. But no, it sounds fine. So, caller, your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Netherlands, Proserpina alone. I'm using an account, so I'm the one who started up the initiative for a paradigm shift in Netherlands.
Awesome, yeah. So I was literally just mentioning that, and now I'm just guys, check with me in the chat. Coming through a bit choppy on my end, but I'm not entirely sure if that's just Blog Talk being Blog Talk. So if just get some confirmation within the chat. Tell me if not you're receiving her as choppy, a little bit choppy. Okay, well, we'll continue with it because it might just be temporary. But yeah, what would you like to bring to the show tonight?
Well, I just want to bring one to the show, and that is kind of motivate people with their own community as well. Because I see on Paradigm Shift Central that a lot of people are posting things like their community in the area that I live in, and sometimes there's not. But I see that people are not asking, and you don't really have to have all knowledge started. I think maybe people think they need to have more knowledge or more to start a community, but it's about people per se.
Right. Okay. So I'm just gonna work. My brain did piece that together. Like I know you said what you said, but we're still hearing it as a bit choppy. But you're talking about the idea of people starting their own paradigm shift communities and not to be afraid of the idea, even if they don't feel that they themselves hold all the knowledge, because it's more about bringing the community together and sharing the knowledge. Is that kind of what you're saying? Is that what I like? Yeah. Okay.
It is. Okay. Well, I probably call back another time and check how I can make the sound better.
Yeah. Like I think it's just an internet thing. But sorry, what was your name again?
My name's Renal, but I use the name Proserpina on my Facebook.
Okay, cool. Well, by all means, feel free to post in the Paradigm Shift Central so people can see the link to your Facebook community there. And thanks for calling in. I mean, is there anything else you want to mention? I mean, by all means, I just deciphered that, so I mean, I'm not too worried about if you want to say a couple more things. Even though it is a bit choppy.
Okay. Well, what I want to say is there are Dutch listening as well, and we start the Dutch radio. We do want to have one who's located in the Netherlands as well. I have a co-host who is located in the Netherlands because I'm about to move out.
Right.
So I will be broadcasting from somewhere else, probably in the broadcasting from either Nepal or India.
Oh, cool. Okay, so again, for those who were listening had trouble deciphering that, she's talking about, and this is what I already mentioned, how you were talking about launching a Dutch radio station or radio version of Paradigm Shift Radio, and then you're saying that you're going to be moving out of the country, but you still want to be able to set up the foundations there and keep things rolling and to keep things going on where you're going, which is possibly Nepal or India. So
right.
But yeah, no, that's totally cool, and I'm so glad that people such as yourself have gotten on board with this initiative, because that's exactly what we need. We need people from all across the world in different languages taking part in this whole paradigm shift thing. I mean, call it a movement if you want, but I mean, essentially it's an idea, and nothing's more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And I know people said that about Occupy, but
right. wasn't really time yet, right?
Sorry, say that again.
I don't think it was really time for Occupy yet.
Well, I think there's a discussion there in itself, because I mean, I think Occupy was necessary, but I think it was sort of, not to say doomed to fail, but I'm not surprised as to how it turned out in some way or another, at least. But I think it was necessary, and I think the energies that we saw with Occupy will be sort of revived come the anniversary, which is actually quite soon, within October, I believe, or around that time. So I think we'll sort of start to see, and I know within the Occupy movement, you sort of had sort of paradigm shifty elements in terms of like meditation groups and that conversation happening, but it just wasn't as centralized, and it was more about like making a public statement. Whereas what's different with paradigm shift is that we're not trying to get the media's attention. Like, we're here for each other as a community, and a lot of it does happen off camera and sort of like within, closed doors and stuff. Not that it's secret, but just in the sense that it's personal and private. And then the next step of paradigm shift is like how we take what we've learned and bring that out into our community even further by just being like a generally like a good person and trying to encourage more people to find out more knowledge for themselves. So
yeah, I think it makes a big difference that it's a lot smaller and more private, because people feel more comfortable and open to really speak on topics that they usually wouldn't speak about in those kind of groups. Like, for example, last week people were even bringing things up like past life experiences. So that was pretty deep.
That's really cool stuff. And I'll just say your mic is coming in a little bit better right now, so we can let's continue this conversation. But yeah, no, tell me a bit about how the paradigm shift meetings have been for you guys.
Well, the first one was pretty small, but still nice that people came up. It was a group of like 5 people. And we started out just talking about how we got started in with spirituality, and what the main topics are that we are concerned about. People are approaching spirituality in a different manner, of course. Mm-hmm. And the second time we went with about 4 people. And I think tomorrow it's going to be a group of about 10. So it's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, that's within the meeting that we have, like within London, we have our meetings regularly on Friday within the Moksha Yoga Studio. But just a little heads up, because this is something that we were experiencing within the last 2 meetings that we had. Our numbers were actually up closer to 20, and this is something new to us because the room's not a big room. But it was really interesting because, I mean, I do, it's good to have facilitators within the communities, but I mean, there's no like individual leaders. Like, the whole idea is that their own leader, right? But it was interesting because there were times within the conversation where it would start to fracture, and you would start to get like mini conversations happening where people would just start talking in sort of smaller groups. So suddenly this group of 20 became like 3 or 4 separate conversations. But instead of me just saying like, whoa, like this is wrong, like we can't have it. Like, let's see where this goes. Like, let's just sort of like let this go somewhere for a bit. And then after a while, I was just like, all right, like let's just sort of bring this back again. And then we didn't have a problem with that. But it is nice once you get to those numbers to just sort of let spirit guide it is sort of the thing, because it's not about trying to dictate that this is the rules as to like how you do it and stuff. But it's just to sort of let it experiment and go where it wills, as long as everybody's like being respectful in that manner.
Yeah, it's totally true. We already have that with the smaller group, so it kind of goes where it naturally needs to go at that point. And last week, people were talking about, well, people don't really have a lot of experience with meditation in our group. Right. And I've been to Nepal and Sri Lanka to study in monastery for about, let's say, 4, 5, 6 weeks. to do meditation full time. And so I thought maybe it would be nice to bring some of that stuff in. So I gave people books about meditation from my teacher, Sri Lanka. And this week we're going to do a healing circle with the entire group to kind of practice with energy work and to, give someone healing, someone who really needs it. So we're trying to incorporate something that we really use in our daily life as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think again, one of the benefits of having those meetings is for people who may be uncomfortable or unfamiliar with doing the meditations by themselves. You know, a lot of people do have trouble with that, and oftentimes it simply takes that other person in the room to display their own comfort and their own sort of like tranquility and just like confidence within the situation, for that to bring that other person into that energy, and then suddenly they're just like they're part of it, and then they're able to like let themselves go. So definitely, like we're helping sort of take away the obstacles for one another, because you know it's not. It would be so weird to think that if we were ever expected to be able to like get through this by ourselves, you know, like at this point, like a lot of us have like spent a lot of times in our cave, like doing all that research. But I mean, you know, like now's the time where we got to go out there, we got to like work on building the tribe, and this is totally something that is being recognized more across the world. And I'm so glad that again that you have been involved with this, and that you're definitely helping moving it forward, because it's cool in the sense that with the paradigm shift communities, we have our meetings, and then after that, the meetings disperse, but the energy is still there. So, I mean, there's all that stuff that happens with the paradigm shift communities, like not just within London, but within like the globe at this point, that I am completely unaware of, which is just an awesome thing to think about, is that like my perception is so limited in terms of like the ripple effect that actually is taking place. And that's just something to encourage people to go out there, take action, with the idea that you don't really know how far those ripples will go. So if you spark up a conversation with a guy on the bus and start talking to him about like maybe meditation or something, and then he tells you about how he spent time at a monastery when he was younger, and then you get into this conversation, and then he takes that whole conversation, then brings it home and starts like talking to like his grandson about it or something, right? And then like that's the whole idea. You have no idea whether or not that would actually happen, but that's the cool part about it. Is that it doesn't matter whether you know like what happens after your initial action. It's just the fact that you did it in the first place, knowing that something will happen. Because like if you do nothing, then nothing will happen. So unexpected events only occur when you go out there and then you take action, and that's embracing that unknown. Like I think a lot of us innately have to reconnect with our desire to be surprised by the universe. The universe is constantly ready to surprise us. We just have to sort of put ourselves into those right situations where we can like be able to acknowledge the surprises that come our way and embrace them. So.
Yeah, I think what you say about the ripple effect is really true, but I also think that there's really no way for there not to be ripple effect, because after a paradigm shift meeting, your energy is just so high because you've been able to talk about the issues that are really important to you. So the energy is so high, and the entire group says it every time that we get together, that their energy is just so much higher. So that's going to have an effect on the people you deal with after the meeting. And it's going to be that way for everybody who has been participating in the meeting and has been, having this experience with their energy.
For sure. Well, I thank you again for calling in. I think we're going to keep things moving along here because we do have another caller who's in the queue right now. Yeah, thank you so much. And again, post a link for your Facebook group in the chat right now, and then we'll include that in the show notes as well. But I know that can be found through the Paradigm Shift Central Facebook as well. And for anybody, I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not you're in the Netherlands. Go check out her page, like the page, and keep an eye on what they're doing. I mean, you may need a translator, but still, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see the whole paradigm shift stuff happening in languages you don't understand, because the energy is, you can still get the message out of it. So, any final word, message before we move on?
No, I just want to wish you a good show, and especially because you're doing it on your own for the first time. So I hope a lot of people will call in.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. It'll go just fine. So no doubt. But yeah, thanks for the blessing. So
all right, bye.
Take care. Love and light. Peace. All right. So moving on right to the next caller. The next caller that we have lined up is Casper Morgan, and Casper's actually called in a past episode, and we talked a little bit about the idea of how spirituality in some ways is sort of reflecting what science is trying to understand. So this idea of like quantum entanglement and non-locality and dimensional stuff. So Casper, we're going to bring you on the air right now, presuming you are ready, and click of a button.
Hey, what's up? Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry. This is the first time I've actually used Skype to call anybody, so.
Right on. Well, it's no choppiness, no echoes. We're good to go. We're fine.
Cool. Yeah, I was just kind of going to talk about how, you guys kind of mentioned the Occupy movement and how you weren't surprised how it turned out. And yep. I just wanted to kind of comment on that because I've recently had I've kind of come to an enlightenment of my own. I kind of got off into the politics of, this war machine we have here in the U.S. and everything, and it kind of started taking me down a very negative path, and I found myself, instead of improving my happiness and, fulfillment as far as, this enlightenment thing goes and these paradigm shifts and everything, I ended up finding myself going down a very negative way, and it was kind of blocking my ability to feel those positive energies and to put them out. And I think that is kind of, it could be a reason why the Occupy movement didn't, I guess you could say, succeed or, have much of an effect as they would probably have liked it to, because it was founded on more focusing on that, the unfairness of the 1% versus the 99%, rather than focusing the intent on, the power of intention is extremely powerful. Right. Instead of focusing that on just making things more positive, they were focused on what was not fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I totally understand what you mean. Yeah, like exactly. Instead of trying, step one is to acknowledge the problem. But then you have to move past that, and you start focusing on a solution. But I think, kind of what I noticed with Occupy is that's what a lot of it was, or at least that's what a lot of the media only got out of it. Obviously, there was more to it, but that's not really the stuff that is too in the mainstream sort of center in that point of perspective, because all that they were sort of portraying is that, here's a bunch of people complaining about stuff with no real solution. And then as a result of that, it was hard for people to sort of be able to provide them with something that they were going to be satisfied with. And then eventually the seasons changed and it just sort of dwindled. But, what do you think? Do you think the energy from Occupy is going to reemerge come the fall?
I can definitely see more things happening. Just like anything else, things are kind of, they go in the fractal patterns that they go in as far as life goes. So it's a process. Occupy was probably just the beginning. It's probably the tip of the iceberg. I can see people starting to wake up and realize, what basically what I just said. People that they were focusing on the wrong thing. Yeah. And I think eventually these movements that happen, these gatherings, will be more focused on that. It's just going to take time for the masses to realize what works. Because if you look at the past, these uprisings that have happened before, they've all kind of happened kind of like Occupy did, and except probably with more violence. Well, with Occupy, we got it right as far as the no violence thing, Yeah. The only violence that there was came from the cops, So we got that right. So next time I think it'll evolve into an even more efficient way, and then even after that, more efficient. And eventually we'll get it right,
I do hope so. I do hope that something will come out of this, needless to say. Though I won't be surprised if a lot of the frustration reappears that we saw with Occupy. Again, like they went out there, they held their signs, they did their thing, and what really came out of it, So, I mean, are they going to use that same tactic? Or are people going to get to the point where they're going to get, like, more frustrated, and will there be some sort of, like, more escalating violence? I mean, it's just, it's hard to say, but, I mean, obviously, when you look at stuff, I mean, I'm not totally following the news, but I know, like, Tampa, have you been following, like, can you tell me, like, what's been happening in Tampa? Like, I've just seen pictures of people, like, comparing it to, like, like, Nazi sort of, like, occupation type thing.
Honestly, I don't even have a TV, so I don't really follow the news, and I try to be real careful on taking what the news says. For I do more research on the internet itself as far as that goes, but I don't know much about Tampa in itself as far as that goes.
Yeah. But I think it's an interesting topic, and we'll sort of see what happens. But definitely there was lessons that we learned from that. But other than Occupy, what else do you want to talk about, man? How was the full moon for you? Like, I know you were contributing to the project there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was out there. I've been outside a lot the last 2 days. The way my sleep schedule is, it's just like my daytime is nighttime. For most people, they work during the day, so they're up during the day, but I work at night. So, and I've been off for a few days, so I've been outside. Just happened to be these 2 or 3 days, with the blue moon and everything, and I've just been snapping a whole lot of pictures and uploading them to Facebook.
For sure, man.
Yeah. I just finished the video. I did the video, and I just uploaded that probably about 30 minutes ago. So hopefully it gets some hits on that. I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't really take the same approach a lot of people did. I just kind of, randomly talked to the camera. But
I actually haven't checked it out. I know you sent it to me just when I was sort of getting ready for the show, but I will check it out, and I will include it within the as an annotation within the video that I put up to make sure that people do get linked to it, because that's that's one thing that I've always sort of noticed in terms of people wanting to share their message. It's sort of hard for them to be able to get things out across the internet in terms of like attracting views and stuff, unless they already have some sort of foundation. But I think, sort of not to like sway the topic, but one of the things that I would like to accomplish through Paradigm Shift and Paradigm Shift Central and Paradigm Shift Radio is to be able to provide a platform as a voice to the people who feel that they have something to share but are having trouble getting that message out there. So even the video that I'll have up within the next couple of days, trying to show and promote everybody else's videos that were involved with the Once in a Full Blue Moon project, plus the youtube.com/Paradigm Shift Central, which also features your videos as well. Like I think concepts like that should be becoming more common. Like I think it's important for us to start figuring out new ways for how we can further expand like the reach of a person who has a message to share without them needing to already be like a YouTube celebrity, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. As far as getting the message out, personally, man, I don't know if it's just me, but lately I've been met with a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
It has
talked
been
to that before.
Yeah, man, it's been frustrating. I would be lying if I told you it wasn't, completely making me. Right. It's got me down sometimes, and just simple things I talk to people about, and always the conversation a lot of times with me it starts out with like quantum physics and stuff like that, because that's where tangible proof can be seen. You know what I mean? And so I figure the easiest way to get somebody interested is to tell them the facts. You know what I mean? And. Right. And then you go on to the other stuff as far as meditation and stuff that you can't really tangibly feel and touch. You know what I mean? So I start with that, and even with that I've had a lot of resistance, man. Like, man, people just doubting me, and and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so open to the other side, but it's not just the resistance. Like they just don't believe me. It's like they will insult me, based on. You know what I mean? Like, it's just been frustrating.
Yeah. So how do you, presuming that were to happen to you tomorrow, like, how do you feel you would be able to deal with that? Or do you think there's perhaps some adjustment that needs to be made within your tactics? Like, I mean, sort of adapt and overcome. Like, if it's not working and you're repeating the same thing, I think that's a question that we can all sort of reflect on, is like, what can we use to open people up to some of these new ideas without them getting aggressive towards us, because it's not just happening to you. Like, obviously.
Yeah. Well, see, I know, you have that age-old saying that people, fear what they don't understand, which that's what I kind of keep in mind in case, I am met with that type of, hostile resistance. So I keep that in mind. So, as far as my tactics go, I really don't know, because part of me wants to say that, I can't really, at the end of the day, you can't change anybody's mind for them. They're going to have to figure it out themselves. It's just I see these, these people I try to communicate this message, and their lives are, they're not happy in their lives, and, they can't seem to figure out why and all this, and it's just me trying to help them maybe see a different perspective, and maybe that will help them, which is, why I'm actually a happier person since I've, discovered this stuff. And I figure that would help them, but it's just, like I said, they fear what they don't understand. And so as far as my tactics go, I'm at a loss, man. I'm hoping you can tell me.
Well, I think one thing would always be to figure out if it's appropriate to use humor in your message, because I think humor is such a good way to sort of break the ice and get people talking about things that they would otherwise be uncomfortable talking about. And you see this with some of the great comedians, Bill Hicks, George Carlin, and plenty of others whose names don't come to the top of my head right now. But I mean, those two, are definitely sort of the forefront in terms of getting people to sort of start thinking non-mainstream thoughts, but then to have them sitting in a chair that they paid money to sit in, they're like, oh, okay, like, I'm here to laugh, so I'll just laugh about it. But then they leave the movie, the theater, like the performance theater, and they start thinking about the stuff that Bill Hicks was actually talking about, in terms of having some sort of crazy psychedelic experience where he realized that, like, he was the universe, and that, like, this whole thing of not being a physical body, but actually being, like, spirit inhabiting a body. And so, this is the stuff that Bill Hicks, like, literally talked about. And if he says it, people laugh. If a priest or some sort of person saying it in a sermon were to say it, then, like, there wouldn't, like, just squeak of a mouse would be the only noise, because it's totally about how, like, the medium is the message. It's totally about how you present it. So I think that's something that we definitely have to keep in mind, is how can we share these messages in, like, a fun, humorous sort of way. And even going back to one of the when I started doing stuff in college, Fanshawe College, for Paradigm Shift, back when it was just like a single club in the college, one of the tactics that I actually used is I used the club fund money to purchase free punch and pie for our meetings. So what I would just do is I would get a guest speaker from people who I knew throughout the community, who I've been connecting with. So one of our very first meetings was actually a presentation by a guest speaker about lucid dreaming and astral projection.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, on the poster, it was like, lucid dreaming, astral projection presentation, free punch and pie. And then, like, people are like, oh, free punch and pie. Like, I love free punch and pie, right? And so then they actually, like, show up, and a lot of them, being college students, they just, like, go out and, like, smoke a bowl beforehand and then just sit there, like, munching on pie, and then they're just like, whoa, man, like, I didn't even know what I was getting into. But then next thing you know, they're, like, back at another meeting, and they're just like, this is actually, like, interesting, right? So, I mean, you gotta sort of just, like, lure them in a bit, but without having to force them, because, you can't force people. You can't just, like, go up to someone and just be like, here, take this information, let me jam it down your throat. Like, no, you have to just sort of, like, be able to, like, put it in front of them, and then they have to, like, choose to pick it up, sort of thing. So it's tricky, man. Like, it's totally tricky, and I know what you mean, because a lot of people, like, they feel they don't even have time for that. Like, they're so frustrated, and they're so just preoccupied with all, like, sort of just trivial stuff. So you really gotta sort of make sure that if you are talking to them, it's in, like, a place where they're comfortable to begin with, and sort of, like, be able to, like, break that ice and just sort of get them breathing and everything, like, and even take notice of your own breath. Like, if you're finding yourself frustrated, like, practicing yourself, like, just take a moment to breathe and everything. A good quote that I saw on one of the pictures that came up on Facebook today is, when another person makes you suffer, it is because he suffers deeply within himself, and his suffering is spilling over. He does not need punishment, he needs help. And that's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. But so that's, and you're recognizing that, and I applaud you for being able to recognize that, like, this whole idea that you see the people who are just frustrated with the mainstream 9-to-5 lifestyle. So like, how can we help them? And that's not an easy answer, and that's not something that's just going to be able to like be solved just with one discussion. It's something that we have to keep in mind and find new ways to sort of adapt our tactics as we sort of move through the experiences as individuals.
Well, and kind of a scientific way to look at it would be, well, they've proven the power of intention. And they know it works. They know it works even better on a group scale. You get a lot of people together and you focus your intention. You can make things happen. But what you have to realize, and this is just kind of, I want to say this to everybody that's listening, is intention goes both ways, okay? There's not just positive intention out there. There are people with negative intent out there. Now, you have to remember, you're going up against that, and you hate to look at it that way, but when you're immersing yourself in this lifestyle of truth, basically, is what this is, we're searching for the truth. Be prepared, and don't let them affect your beliefs negatively. I've had to actually, over the last few weeks, like I've gone through quite a mental trip because of this, and I've had to remind myself this. Keep an open mind to their arguments. Just don't let them get you down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can't change anybody else's mind.
Right. And don't feel that there's nothing that they can't teach you either. I think
right.
A lot of people who sort of start attaching themselves to this knowledge feel that like they got it, they've therefore like these people should be like kissing their feet sort of thing. But like no, like totally like get yourself off that pedestal. If you want to be able to communicate with these people, like open up to the idea that they are in your life for a reason. And if they're in your life, there's something that you can learn from them and they can learn from you. So again, the intention is definitely going both ways. It's a constant stream. It's a constant yin and yang. So
right.
Definitely, we just got and these are little things we just got to remind ourselves of. And I think that's something that you can sort of every day you could go out and try talking to a person who, whether it be a stranger or whether it be that friend who is like even if you're just planting little tiny seeds, like that's kind of, there's little fun facts that you can sort of drop here and there. Like I was hanging out with a buddy and he had a couple friends over, and there was a couple girls and they weren't like they weren't closed-minded or anything, but at some point we were just talking, and then I sort of brought up the idea. I'm like, oh yeah, well like everybody's actually psychic. A lot of people got it backwards.
Yeah.
Think that nobody's psychic when actually it's like everybody is psychic and we just have filters on. And then they were just like, I never thought about it that way. So it's just sort of like planting that little seed and then just making a conversation of it. And if they're going with it, then totally just let like encourage them. Don't just try and tell them everything. Like ask them what their thoughts are. Get them involved in the conversation. So if it could be something talking about dreaming or something like that. Like if you see that they're interested, let them talk, because they're probably like, oh yeah, like I've had this crazy dreaming experience where I was like, I knew I was dreaming or something, and you're like, lucid dreaming, and they're like, yeah, that's what it's called, kind of like that movie, like Inception. And you're like, yeah, kind of like that, but not really, but that's a good place to start. So everybody's seen Inception, so obviously if they've seen that, they have some sort of interest in dreaming, and then it's just finding topics that you can sort of bounce off of to sort of segue from one thing to another. So find something that they're interested in, find something that they're passionate about, and then sort of branch from there. Everybody's passionate about something.
I have a real funny story actually now that you mentioned that, like just as far as like meeting random people. I work at Guitar Center and I work the front door, so I have a computer up there, and I was looking up fractals on which I'm not supposed to be doing that, by the way, but anyways, I was looking up fractals, and one of my coworkers walked by me. His name's Shay, and he was like, so fractals, and I was like, yeah. And then he started mentioning Fibonacci sequence and the consciousness movement and Occupy, and I was like, dang dude, where have you been? Like, where have you been all my life? I'm like, all right man, that's cool. So we I went over and hung out with him and stuff like that. And like we found out we had so much in common. Like down to where like he had the same laptop I did. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy. But it's just weird how this little small things like that can spark like friendships, with people with like-mindedness. It's pretty awesome.
It's within all of us, man, and like that's the thing that for me is like there is no giving up. There is nobody who's too far gone. Like everybody within themselves is the universe, and if they have a soul, if they are like this like piece of consciousness, which they are, then there's a part of them that is able to recognize like the same things that we recognize. Like, you know, you can like grab a leaf and hold it in front of them and say, look at this leaf, see how it branches, and then hold it up to a tree and like say, look at that tree, see how it does the exact same thing. Like, what does that mean to you? You know, or go look at the spiral on your thumb. See that little spiral there? Look at the spiral like within the galaxy. Like, it's the exact same thing, right? And they're just like, yeah, like you've got a point, right? So I mean, I think in terms of, again, finding conversations to start off of, I think things like sacred geometry, visual representations are a perfect place to start off of, because those are something that you can show them. And I've had that, I've seen that with young children as well. Like a little while ago, when you heard me talk about this on a past show, I was working at like a free camp for kids. And I brought in a book, and it was about like sacred geometry and mandalas and stuff. And it was cool just to sort of like have the kids like sort of flipping through that and everything. And obviously they're not totally familiar with the terms, but they're still naturally like drawn and fascinated to like these whole aspects of nature. So I mean, yeah, like talking about sacred geometry, like that's always a topic that I think people can sort of be introduced and drawn into. Definitely.
Yeah, because it's something that you can actually see. You know, you can actually map it out. You know. It's helpful, especially for the people that are skeptics and stuff. And I think it's naturally draws people in because it's kind of just a universal truth. You know what I mean? And it just has that effect once you kind of align with one of the ideas, it all just starts to piece together for you. So.
Totally, man. Well, anything else that you want to talk about specifically?
I know you mentioned something about lucid dreaming. I actually had I told you before how I had Project Dream State. It was a project I was doing on lucid dreaming. Well, I have part 2 out already. It's on my my YouTube page. If everybody wants to check that out, it's actually think for your youtube.com/user/think for yourself with 3 F's at the end. So. It's on there somewhere. It's part 2. I did it about a few weeks ago. So I managed to fit it all on one video too, not two parts like I did before. So yeah, other than that, check that out if you can, and looking forward to future shows and everything. So it was good talking to you, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll include your video within the YouTube show links for sure. So we'll make sure people can watch it through there. But
awesome.
I appreciate what you've been doing, man. You know, I think I'm just trying to think back on when the first time we sort of connected with each other across the internet. Like that was probably, were you here for the beginning of Paradigm Shift Radio? Like, was it short?
I think maybe the one that I came in on was maybe the 3rd show you had. The first one I ever heard was when you had Teal Scott on.
Yeah, so that was only our 3rd episode. So I mean, yeah, but that's sweet, man. Like it's been good. It's been good getting to know you so far, man. Like that's everybody sort of has a role to play in this, and definitely it's good that we can be able to connect and sort of regroup once a week on air. So
yeah, I'm really trying to encourage, like you're doing with this Blue Moon community project. Like that's the kind of thing that I really want to I encourage doing, you know what I mean? Like I'm glad you did that. I hope you'll do more, and if I can come up with any community project ideas, I definitely want to contribute some more too, because that's kind of I think that's one of the main things that's going to grab people and get people involved, because everybody, you got somebody tells their friends and they tell their friends and they tell their friends, and it kind of just spreads the truth, you know what I mean? So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that when you get like an entire community just sort of virally getting behind it, there's a lot of energy there. And the full moon thing, I mean, I'm not going to hang up on you right away, but just in terms of that, like that was something where like the idea was sort of there at the beginning of the month, but I wasn't really sure like how far I was going to implement it. But it wasn't until like the night before the full moon that I was just like, oh yeah, like I should probably make this whole project / Facebook event and tell everybody across the world to do it. And then for like a second I was like, no, I don't know, like that's kind of a lot of work. Like maybe I'll just like sleep. And then I was like, no. Like the idea came to me, like it's in my head, like I have to do this. Like there really wasn't like me just saying like, nah, I'm not going to do it, because like sort of in the same way of when I started the whole Paradigm Shift thing as a club, like a lot of it was like, if I don't do this, who will? And,
yeah.
you know, I know there were other people taking pictures of the full moon. Obviously, that was going to happen, but it wasn't quite. No one else was like quite orchestrating it in the same sort of way, so to speak. So I mean, it helps sometimes just to sort of be able to like put a framework around something to actually give it more of an identity and something that people can point a finger at. So it'll be really cool. I'm really looking forward to being able to share the montage video with the internet. Like, you guys, they'll really be able to appreciate that, and it'll be interesting to see like how viral that will get, just in terms of
that'll be awesome. I can't wait for that. That's going to be pretty amazing. I can already imagine it. I've always been interested in doing putting videos like that together, and it's really cool when everybody's involved in this one thing, and then you can piece it together into one video. Yeah, I can see that going pretty viral.
Yeah, it's a very cool like piece of art, and that's really all it is. Call it art, but I think that's like that's just a very, very, very cool thing. And I think kind of what you're saying, like, what else can we sort of do from here? And I think through the Paradigm Shift Central Facebook page, like, I think this style of idea can definitely be replicated in other ways without it necessarily being a full moon sort of topic. Like, I think that's something that we can sort of talk about some more off air. But I mean, if you have any ideas, feel free to bring them up. But totally, like, let's work on that. Let's work on brainstorming ways that we can collectively help attract more people into this movement, so to speak, into this like shift of consciousness, and get them involved and get them sharing their voice. Because I think that's the big thing. Like, it's cool if they're standing there and they're watching and they're appreciating, but we want people to take that next step and to practice expressing themselves, because like that's when like magic actually happens. And there was a lot of people, like with the whole full blue moon thing, like lives were changed, and like that's no exaggeration. Like if you look at some of the posts, like there are people who are just there's some people who are just like, oh well, like I sort of maybe thought about sharing some sort of video, but now that like I saw this whole project started, and now I definitely am going to share that video, knowing that there are people there who are ready to listen. And again, kind of going back to like this whole idea of, I think people are hesitant to put videos out on the internet because they feel that nobody's listening.
Right.
So how do we do that? How do we provide people with an audience? And it has to be like this community audience where everybody is listening to each other, and there's no like single like one person trying to get ahead or anything. And that's totally what was accomplished with the full blue moon. So yeah, I was ecstatic to see the success of it, man. Like I was at the park last night, and I sort of pulled out my laptop, and I wasn't expecting to get internet, but then I did. So I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll just check my Facebook. And then at like 10 p.m. last night, I'm like already looking, and there's already like 20 posts like on the event page, and I was like, oh yes, like it's begun,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, man.
Cool.
It's pretty. It has blown up a lot, man. I actually am surprised how big it is, and how many people who has never even made a video before and put it on YouTube have actually broke that barrier for themselves and put themselves out there. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and right now there are 392 people who are attending the event, and there's still new photos like coming in like every couple minutes. So I mean, I just posted a link for it in the live chat. If people haven't checked it yet, feel free to join the event page. And I'm sure there's some people who are listening to this show now because they were involved with the Full Blue Moon project, which is awesome. So I mean, the more projects we can sort of do that, like in that style, the more people who are going to find out about the radio show, and then they're going to be able to stay in the community and everything. So it's definitely just going to keep snowballing, and it's just onwards and upwards from here. But very cool. So man, I think we're going to do our regular meditation sort of at the top of the hour here in a minute. Is there anything that you think that, in terms of like suggestion for meditation, like how is meditation for you? Do you meditate regularly or every now and then, or?
I've kind of been slacking lately, and I think that's part of the whole negativity thing I was talking about. I was wrapped up in, as far as focusing too much on the negative rather than my intent on the positive. But what I can tell you, man, I've only meditated about 3 times my entire life, and this was over the last couple of months, and I don't know if this is normal or not, but it came extremely naturally to me, which honestly I never really would have thought, before I started meditating. really always thought maybe I couldn't focus enough to meditate correctly. I guess you can say. I don't really know if there's a correct way to do it, but for me, it worked instantly. The first time I did it, I physically, my hands went numb, and I remember that because in the middle of my meditation, my phone rang, and I couldn't pick the phone up to answer it because I was right in the middle of this meditation, and my hands were numb. And that's never happened to me. I wasn't like cutting my circulation off. I was just sitting there, with completing the circuit, if you will, with my hands kind of latched together, and my hands went numb. It was really weird. And so yeah, and then I did it again, and it kind of had the same reaction. And so yeah, it works really well for me when I actually do it. Lately I haven't been doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think again, man, like a lot of people sort of fall in and out of habit in terms of meditation, but if people are looking to get sort of like those next level experience in terms of like opening up their chakras and everything, like it actually does take consistency. Like,
right.
You want to know the secret. If you want to know the secret to success, it's consistency. So
right.
That doesn't mean, it's good if you can meditate maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but if you can consistently meditate, like, every day, even, like, in the morning and even before you go to sleep, like, you're going to start noticing, like, crazier stuff in terms of
and
then also
changes and stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna lead right over to your dreams. And people always ask, how do I get like more crazier dream experience and everything? In addition to like all the tips we talked about before in terms of writing down your dreams and stuff, like meditate consistently. Like
just like Cassandra down there in the chat box said, it makes a huge difference in your life. Synchronicity goes crazy. Yeah, dude, because synchronicity, as far as what that person is talking about, is absolutely true. Like me and my girlfriend, ever since I started meditating and stuff, man, the synchronicity and the biophoton emissions, that we're exchanging are just crazy. Like it's almost like we've become psychic to each other and partly to the outside world even more. You know what I mean? Like everybody has those psychic abilities. We talked about that. But what I mean is like it's become more apparent. It's become more like it's more a part of my life now. I'm able to recognize it, and it's crazy how that is, man. It's just reaffirming, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, because we're not just inside our own heads, and when we start becoming more aware, the universe meets us halfway, and this is totally something that you can explain it to someone, but until they start practicing and until they start experiencing themselves, like it's not really something they can fully know. You have to know through experience, like that's,
right.
Like that's the gnosis or whatever you want to call it.
It's like when you seek the universe and the answers are actually seeking you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
you also have to remember that sometimes you don't, like, in terms of looking and everything, it's oftentimes that like when you stop looking, you like find the answer. So that's another thing. If you find that you're like sort of running in circles too much, perhaps just slow down and stop looking and be able to let go and be able to embrace whatever the universe comes to you, and just understand that everything happens for a reason. So if you can understand that, literally understand that, even the negative stuff, then you'll be able to embrace like the stuff that's going to be coming your way. And that's kind of half the challenge, is that the universe will bring you stuff. It will put it right in front of you. But if your focus is shot or you're distracted, then you might miss it. That door of opportunity might sort of pass you by. So it's our job to be aware of the opportunities placed in front of us by the universe, and not just like by the universe as an external force, but like by ourselves, like by ourselves, so to speak. So yeah, man, good talking to you. I think we're going to jump over into our meditation right now. So
awesome.
I'm going to let you go, but we'll talk soon enough. So thanks, Casper.
All right, see you later.
Cheers. All right, so my good buddy Casper there, so I'll put a link to his stuff in the show notes, which will be on the YouTube page. And again, if you want to check the past episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio, go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/PSR. There are 10 episodes up, including 11 once this one gets up there, and that will be up within the next couple days. And feel free to share that link as well once it's up and everything. All right, guys, so it is officially now Sunday where I am, so we're going to move into our meditation. And the meditation for this one is going to last about 5 minutes. This time around, I actually have audio of a singing bowl, a Tibetan singing bowl that is attuned to the frequency of the brow chakra. So, alright guys, let's just excuse me as I get myself comfortable. Please do the same on your end. And we'll sort of do this the way how we regularly do this, which is simply I'll introduce and get us into a calm breathing state. And then I'll play the audio, and then I'll bring us back to reality once the audio concludes, which is in about 5 minutes. So for this one, in terms of visualization and meditation, there's an idea that I sort of talked about a while back. Visualize this. Visualize that every single person who is taking part in this meditation right now exists in some different part of the globe. Now, see each and every one of us who are listening right now as a little piece of light, a little beacon of light. And now start connecting the dots between those lights so that it creates a grid around the entire globe. And focus on that grid. Focus on the grid that we are literally creating right now by being connected and being that light and being able to expand that energy beyond just ourselves so that it resonates and just like becomes even more real as we sort of unfold into the future. So again, visualize on the grid that is connecting us all, because we are all one, we are all unified, we are all connected, and we are all experiencing this reality subjectively together as we go through the process of remembering. So again, everybody get comfortable and begin simply with a deep breath and allow yourself to come into a comfortable and calm state. Focus on your breath, but then gently allow your focus to wander as we move into the meditation, which is focused towards the brow chakra, our third eye. Gently breathe and relax and experience the bliss. gently allow your presence to return to the room that you're in. Re-acknowledge your breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And welcome back. So, yeah, that wasn't really a long meditation. That was only a few minutes. You know, the show itself is only for about 90 minutes. So, hey, maybe one of these days we'll do a 90-minute meditation. How'd everybody? What would you guys think of that? Who would be up for that? We'll just sign on to the show, and then we'll just be quiet for 90 minutes. That'd be fun. So, anyways, guys, thank you again for tuning into Paradigm Shift Radio. I am one of your co-hosts, Skull Babylon, and Michael Brazel is usually with us, though he is away from the keyboard tonight, though he will probably be back next week. So, thanks again for promoting the show. You guys are doing awesome. The show is getting out there. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. Also check out facebook.com/ParadigmShiftCentral and get some tips and tricks on starting your own Paradigm Shift community there. And also feel free to check out Paradigm Shift London, and the YouTube for myself is youtube.com/SkullBabylon. And feel free to add me on Facebook at facebook.com/SkullBabylon. So there you go, guys. All right. I think we're going to get another caller in on air. So I believe I do have a person who I am expecting to call in. If she is ready to do so, perhaps she can let me know. But, but yeah, guys, how's it going? How's it going in the chat room? What do you guys think of that meditation? People are saying, thank you. Well, thank you guys for being a part of it. So that was cool. I know the audio is not always the best through Blog Talk, so you can expect a higher quality version of that track in the YouTube video once we post it. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That was awesome. I enjoyed it as well. You know, sometimes those short meditations are actually one of the better ones when you can seriously get into it really quickly and just like blissfully sort of be gone for 5 minutes, but have it actually feel like 10 or 15 or 20 or a decade or who knows. So, all right, I think okay. So our next caller, whoever we are going to have live on the air, I'll just introduce her real quickly, is a good friend of mine, Taylor, a.k.a. Starseed Space Friend, and I believe she is going to be talking to us a bit about her Ayahuasca awakening retreats. So, as I bring her on right now, hello, Taylor, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
All right. Good. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for calling in. So, all right, I just introduced you, and just tell the people a bit about yourself for those who don't know.
Okay, well, my name's Taylor, obviously. About when was it? It was in December of last year. No, sorry, January of this year. Wow. I experienced ayahuasca for the first time, and it's completely changed my life. I've started a YouTube channel about it, and I've just started on this path of wanting to awaken other people and bring people to the medicine in Peru. So I recently just created my own like ayahuasca retreats that I'm starting in October, and they're going to be held at a center called Nature's Hospital in Peru. They're going to be 2 weeks long, and I'm just so excited. I can't even believe that it's actually happening. And yeah, that's just, I guess, a little bit about me.
That was very cool. I remember I first came across your videos through a friend of mine. He linked them, and he was in the same town as you. And at the time, I mean, you were still fresh off your experience in ayahuasca. Actually, I remember when I first messaged you, were you still in Peru, or had you just gotten back because you had gone for your second adventure with ayahuasca?
I had just gotten back from Peru.
Yeah, but it's been really cool to be able to sort of share some of this journey with you and seeing how you've actually been able to follow your dreams in terms of being able to know what you wanted and then being able to want to help other people, and now you've got this whole Awakening retreat. So that is, congratulations in doing that, and this is just like the beginning of that next step. Like, what do you give us a bit of like a run through on what would sort of what would people be able to expect from the Ayahuasca Awakening retreats that you'd be a part of?
Okay, well, we do have a lot of like activities planned, but for the most part, the whole point of these retreats is to settle into the jungle and to really work on yourself and focus on your healing. So there's a lot of like free time to relax, a lot of meditation. We'll be doing some yoga if the yoga instructor is there. It's basically a really good retreat to just dig really deep into yourself and figure out a lot of your, emotional baggage, get rid of it. It's just a really good healing retreat. And, obviously aside from that, there's the activities that we're going to be doing, which are, we've got a few like jungle hikes, a hike to the Amazon River, which is actually really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, obviously, this all relates around ayahuasca. Now, we've talked about ayahuasca in the past on previous shows. What if you were to try and explain ayahuasca to someone who was unfamiliar with it? What would you tell them?
Okay, well, it's a hallucinogenic brew created by the natives of the Amazon, and it's used for healing both, physically and emotionally, spiritually. And it's also good for spiritual enlightenment and, really digging deep and raising your consciousness. And a lot of people want to just say that it's, it's a jungle drug, you're just going out to get high, but really it's not that kind of thing. And if anybody's doing it recreationally, I question their sanity, because it's not something you would ever want to do recreationally.
Yeah. Now, when you first, one of the first things you said like it's a hallucinogenic. Now, I often, for me personally, when I'm explaining things like ayahuasca, I almost try to avoid the term hallucinogenic, because people hear that word and they think hallucinations, and when they think hallucinations, they think therefore are not real. But I think I know there's a better word instead of hallucinogenic, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But now, through your own experiences with ayahuasca, I mean, tell me, like, did you feel that, like, how real was this? I mean, opposed to you just hallucinating, like, from what I understand, it's more of like opening yourselves up to the energies that are already a part of yourselves and a part of reality, and you're just becoming more aware of them.
Well, for me, all of it felt very real. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like this really weird buzzing.
It's okay. You're good.
Is it? Okay, it's just really loud.
That's really okay.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Crap, what was I saying? Right, so it felt, very, very real to me, and it's not just that I was seeing things, but I was feeling things, and it's just, it's really hard to explain in words, in like human words. It's just, there's no way to possibly,
Yeah, I think people are actually complaining about this mysterious buzzing that maybe going on. Quick reset. Guys, tell me in the chat, is there buzzing out there that's happening right now? People report the LOL in the chat. I don't hear anything.
Oh my god, I can barely hear you.
What's happening? Are we getting this right now? Okay. Sorry, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, you...
Oh man. Hello? How bad is it?
It's like echoing and you sound like an alien.
Alright, you're show right now. Host the show. Hold on. Okay. Host the show.
I don't know what's going on. I can't hear anything. Host the show? I'm not hosting the show. What? What is this? Oh my god, did he just leave me on this? Am I still on? What is going on? This is so funny. Hi guys. I've never hosted a radio show before. This is pretty fun.
I'm tempted to just leave you and let you do your thing. Like, I don't know. You tell me, like, how audible am I?
It's not as bad as it was before.
Okay, that's weird. All right, but yeah, no, just pretend I'm not here. Just tell them more. Just talk to them, Taylor. Tell them what they need to know.
I'm so awful at this kind of stuff. Okay, well, if for those of you who haven't gone to my Facebook page, if you want to check out more information on the retreats, you can go to facebook.com/iawakeningretreats. I will post it in the chat so you know how to spell it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, all the information's there under the About section. All the activities and the costs and stuff. The first retreat is October 21st. There's still a few spots left. I've also added a couple more retreats for November. We're going to be doing, I think, a 4-week retreat in December, and I think it's from like December 15th to January 15th, and we're going to be doing a ceremony on the night of the 21st, which should be really cool, really interesting. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so if you guys want to sign up, you can always just send me an email, let me know what date you want to come on, and yeah, we'll get it all set up for you. Don't know what else to say.
Cool. So can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
It's not too bad. So yeah, no, just okay. So explain a bit more. Like, why do you feel that people should work with ayahuasca? Like, why do you want to provide this experience for other people?
Because of how much it's changed my life. I want people to experience what I've experienced, because like before for those of you who don't know, I was on a path to becoming an actress. I was doing everything that I possibly could to be an actress. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be in film. And, I've always had this voice in the back of my head kind of going, do I really want this? Is this really what I want? And I kind of just ignored it because I thought it was just a part of me trying to just shut myself down and try to destroy me. So I would never listen to it really. And then when I finally took ayahuasca for the first time, I finally realized that, acting is not what I'm meant to do. What I'm meant to do is to help people and to help the world. And I want, people to start waking up and realizing that they too can follow their dreams. And, if you start following your heart and living from a place of love instead of fear, so many things can happen, like that you would just never dream of. Like, I never dreamed that I would be hosting these retreats in Peru and living there. Like, it's crazy to think about, but at the same time, like it has just come so easily to me because I have woken up and because I've started living out of love and not out of fear, and just, I just want people to experience this.
Yeah, like definitely. It's sort of what you're doing now. Like you're following your path. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important for other people to see, because all of us do have our own path. There's a part of us, like before we came into this life, who sort of created a path for ourselves, like a contract, if you will, of certain things we would try to accomplish within this lifetime. Now, we're not necessarily going to be able to do all of them, but what we can do is put forth that best effort, because those lessons are there. And what you're doing, like, can you imagine yourself being anywhere else right now?
No. I can't even imagine myself going back to acting. Like, I'm right where I need to be. It's perfect. Like, I cannot stress that enough. It is just absolutely perfect. I feel so sure of myself, and I've never felt so sure of myself. Like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, just wait till you actually get to Peru and you're back there again and you're just like doing your thing. Because I mean, it's not that far away. Like you leave mid-October is when you leave?
About 7 weeks from now.
Wow. So what do you feel that you need to do within the time that you have left here in Canada?
Well,
that's kind of a big question.
It is. It really is. I'm obviously I'm doing a lot of work online, so I got to keep up with that. I'm signing people up for more retreats and stuff, just getting stuff organized, spending time with my family and friends, trying to explain this stuff to my family and friends. That's always a fun, but they're coming around. They don't think I'm as crazy, but
yeah, like when you sort of take us back a bit, like when you sort of first heard about ayahuasca, like how did you naturally feel drawn to it, like right away? Like how did you first find out about it?
I first found out about it through my ex, not my previous ex, but the one before. He sent me a link to one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and on it, I think the guy's name is Marcus or something. I don't know. He was talking about his experiences with it, and I was so intrigued. And right after that, I started researching it and looking into it, and it's like I just knew that one day I was going to go to the Amazon and I was going to experience it for myself, and things just started happening, like all these synchronicities, and boom, like I was in Ecuador and I was doing it, and yeah, it got the ball rolling.
Now, okay, people are always, they want to hear about like the actual ayahuasca experience, so sort of take me through like those initial moments when the sort of veil to reality started peeling itself back and you started realizing that like what you had gotten yourself into. Like what was that like once that brew started taking its effect on you?
Oh my God. You know, I never explained this in my video. I guess I kind of just forgot, but the very first, like when it first started to come on, I felt like the spirit of ayahuasca had me in her arms, cradling me, and with the Icaros that the shaman was singing, it felt like it was a lullaby that I had heard all my life, and I knew it, I recognized it, and I just felt so comforted, and I felt like I was, you know, home, if that makes sense. Like it was just like such a magical moment, and I was literally like rocking back and forth and just, I'm getting all teared up now just thinking about it. But
I can hear your tears, through the radio. So
yeah,
so it's such a very visceral and emotional and powerful thing to experience. And again, like for people who think that they're just like, oh, they're just talking about drugs are drugs and stuff like that. Like no. Like this, don't even like. I tend to try not even use the word drugs anymore unless I'm talking about the things that are actually drugs. Like ayahuasca is a spiritual medicine, so to speak, and if you look at it like that, and if you perceive it as a medicine, then you're going to be able to understand it and potentially embrace it at some point down your path. Like should that choice be open to you? So I mean, I think it's good that people are interested in ayahuasca, but I mean, you can tell them this too. They need to be very patient and very cautious and very serious about how they approach it, because it is not something that you joke around with. Like this is like serious stuff. Like we're talking about, you know, sort of keys to other dimensions, and there's some people with reports in ayahuasca and even DMT where they're actually like experiencing communication with other dimensional entities and stuff like that. Within your experience, like you were talking about how you were actually able to see the katamos, or I think that's the name. It's like
little plant spirit.
For those of you who have seen the movie Princess Mononoke, there's those little tree spirit guys who tilt their heads and make that noise. Like those guys, like, are not just from that anime. Like those are actual tree spirits that people have depicted throughout history because they actually exist in other dimensions, and that's something that through ayahuasca, you yourself, like, actually you saw those.
And the thing is, like, I didn't even know what that movie was before I went into this.
Exactly.
So, like, it wasn't something that my mind kind of just created from seeing it before. Like, this is something that was just completely real in front of me. Like, I was seeing them, and then when I went home to Canada, I saw the movie, and I was just like, holy crap, like, those are the exact same little guys I saw. Like, it's just, it's unbelievable.
And that's, you know, how the rabbit hole goes far, far deeper than that. Like, but I think in terms of what you were saying, when you first sort of broke through, you felt that embracement of the universe, and I think that's something that a lot of people will get through heavy psychedelic experiences or even light psychedelic experiences, is this idea that, like, you are not alone. Like, call them guardian angels, call them spirits or whatever. Like, sometimes it feels like we're so cut off from everything because we're sort of stuck within our own physical body and within our own mind, but, like, we are not alone by any means. And, like, there's actually, and you can literally think about it this way, there's, like, actually other entities within other dimensions who are curious and quite intrigued as to, like, what we are up to and how things are going on our path, and in some ways are here to help us and can help us. And sometimes all it takes is for us to like ask for their help. So, any last message to share with everyone, Taylor? I think we're just about ready to wrap up the show here. So,
I don't know. I guess if everybody just wants to check out my YouTube and Facebook, that'd be cool. Yeah, I don't know. Just thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're here. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today, and thank you, Taylor, for calling in and sharing about your retreat, and I hope the best of luck for you on that. You won't need any luck. I'm sure it'll be a wonderful success, and things will unfold exactly as they should, so that'll be amazing, and feel free to tell us all about it back, so that'll be great.
For sure. Yeah, lots of videos.
All right. Okay, guys. So thanks again for listening to Paradigm Shift Radio. I'm your host, Skull Babylon. Tune in again next week at 11 p.m. EST for another exciting episode. We may have a guest on that show next week, but you'll find out midweek. I'll post up some stuff about it. But in the meantime, look forward to the YouTube version of the show. That'll be up soon. And thanks again for listening. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio and Paradigm Shift Central. All right, guys. Take care.